Alright, so we're not going to be doing the standard intro that I normally do here on my channel. So if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Christiane, otherwise known here as IHeartAirbrush. And if you are not new here, welcome back. It's nice to see you. So today we are going to be going into just a chill video. You know, I filmed a video that I meant to put up, but you know, the energy was just off with that video. I just wasn't feeling good. I haven't been feeling that great lately. And so I didn't want to post it. You know, I didn't want to waste your time. I didn't want to waste my own time editing it and all of that. So I scrapped the video. So today we are not doing the normal scheduled content. So today, instead of doing what I had planned and trying to force it, I'm just going to go ahead and go with the flow. I feel like this is going to be the right thing to do. So today's video, I'm going to be diving into recreating the look that I wore in the Temptu swatch video that I just posted. But instead of using the standard airbrush to apply the air shadow, I will be going in with the Temptu Airpod Pro and the Temptu Air. I did have a follower of mine go ahead and request this, so thank you very much for requesting that, because that is what we are going to be diving into today. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. Alright, so even though I said this was going to be a chill video, I am not one to waste time, so we're not going to go ahead and dilly-dally and chit-chat too much, but we are going to dive into all of the steps, and I am going to provide you with tips, tricks, and my actual thoughts when using the Temptu Air with the Temptu Airshadows. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and prep, and I'm going to go ahead and do that off screen here because it's really basic. I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay Primer Potion as a base on the lids, and then I'm going to go in with MAC Paint Pot in the shade Soft Ochre to top that. Alright, so now that my eyelids are all prepped and ready, let's go in and prep the Temptu Airpod Pro. Now you don't have to prime the Temptu Airpod Pro every time. At least I read somewhere that you don't have to do that, but I personally like to go ahead and do that because I feel like everything runs smoother when I prep and prime it. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the back cap, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove the top cap to go ahead and prime it. Then I'm going to take some SB cleaner. I got this cute little bottle from a friend of mine. She's great. I will put her channel in the description box below. I absolutely love her. So I got this bottle from her if you're wondering. But yeah, I go ahead and use SB cleaner in this one because I like the little tip on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply a few drops of the SB cleaner to the pod. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull the loop back. Then I'm going to attach it to the Temptu Air. Okay, I'm going to turn the air on. And then I'm going to go ahead and spray out the excess SB cleaner on a tissue. Okay, and now my Temptu Air is ready to go ahead and use. So I'm going to start in with the eye look today, just because I feel like when I am using eyeshadow in the Temptu Air, the spray is a lot broader, so it's a little bit wider. So I want to make sure that I leave enough wiggle room for me to go ahead and clean up if I need to. So to recreate the look that I did in my swatch video for these eyeshadows, I'm going to go ahead and go in with Graphite and lay that down all over the lid. I'm just going to apply several drops into the Temptu Airpod Pro. 3, and then I'm going to go ahead and test out my spray on the tissue. Looks good. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and apply it all over the lid. Keeping my distance, as you can see. Then when we get to the outer corner, I'm going to take the shadow shield for a nice sharp edge. Lightly pulsing on the lever here. Stretching the skin. Okay, and then using the air to dry. So finger off the lever, just the air. Alright, so I went ahead and laid down a graphite there, and I do want to go ahead and touch on the fact that it does look pixelated to the eye. I'm not sure if the camera is picking it up, but it does look pixelated to the eye. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a close-up so you can go ahead and see what it looks like. But even though it looks like this, we can make it work. So do not fret, do not fray. If you have the Temptu Air and you are wanting to use this collection, we can make it work, and I'm going to show you how. See? Those little dots everywhere. Alright, so now that this eye is pretty much filled into where I need it to be filled into, I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye, and then we will move to the next step. Alright, so I went ahead and applied the base of it down to the other eye. So as you can see, both eyes are filled in now. And now I'm going to go in with a second coat to go ahead and make sure that all of those little pixels are close enough together to make it look like a nice smooth spray. Using the air. Okay, much better. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and let this set a little bit before I go ahead and open my eyes up all the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick and then I'll be right back. All right, so now that I've given it enough time to go ahead and set in and all of that, because I do have creases and a lot of texture on my lid, so I wanted to make sure to give it enough time. I'm just gonna go in and clean up some of those excess overspray pixels that are around the eye area. That way when I go in with the transition color or the crease color, there's not gonna be like some weird kind of texture underneath with the darker shade that I laid down first. So I'm just gonna take a Q-tip and just lightly swipe the skin. And the SB formula is very forgiving because it doesn't set down right away. So if you go in quick enough, you can just kind of fleck away the overspray or even blend with like a sponge or a brush before it sets down all the way. So as you can see, I'm just picking up all of those little excess pixels that are in where I are in the areas that I don't want them to be. And I'm just kind of like flecking them away. So everything looks like a nice blend. Okay, we're gonna do that to the other eye. All right, so now that I flecked away all of that excess, I like the shape that I have here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the next shade. So the next shade I'm gonna go in with in the crease area is Heatherstone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take my AirPod Pro, and I did go ahead and clean it in between because I went from a darker shade to a lighter shade. You wanna make sure you're cleaning it in between or at least flushing it out. And I'm gonna take 2 drops here because I only need a little bit. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click my compressor on and just apply it to the crease area. Keeping my distance. Let's just go ahead and apply. There we go. Just kind of blend those pixels just over the natural fold and then taper out. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and flush out that shade and then we will go in with the next shade. Okay, so the last shade we're gonna go in with for the air shadow is Pebble. And this is a transition shade, so I'm only gonna need just a couple of drops. There we go. Making sure to hold my air at an angle so that the product settles nice where it's supposed to go instead of at the base of the AirPod. Test that on a tissue. Okay, looks great. So let's just go ahead and apply to the highest part. Go. There we go. Much better, much smoother. Sometimes it just takes a little finesse. Okay, so now that that is flushed out, the eyeshadow using this collection is pretty much done. We went into 3 shades, starting with Graphite, then we went in with Heatherstone, and then we finished off with Pebble in the transition, so we went from the lid up. And yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into the rest of the look. So before we get into the Temptu Air, once again to finish off the look, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the Dose of Colors Pretty Cool palette. This palette pairs beautifully with this collection because the palette has all cool tone shades. And I just went in with a couple of shades from this palette to go ahead and do my lower lash line. As I said in the last video, the swatch video that I did with this eyeshadow collection, and I've said it many times in the past before, you really don't want silicone based products getting into the eye, which is why I recommend that you use a powder shadow for the lower lash line, because when you're airbrushing on the eye, especially with like a device that has like a wider, broader spray like this one, it's really hard not to get it in your eye, especially when you're spraying on the lower lash line. So just to ensure that you don't get any silicone in your eyes, I recommend going in with a powder shadow. So that's what I did for that look. So I'm just going to dip into 2 shades from the palette. I'm dipping into Fine Print and Sign Off. And I'm just going to go ahead and dust this on the lower lash line. So I'm going to go back in with the Temptu Airpod Pro. And I'm going to be taking the Perfect Canvas Champagne Highlighter. I'm going to take a few drops. Alright, so now that our Temptu Air work is complete, let's go ahead and set this baby down. And I'm going to go ahead and just finish off the final touches on the look. I'm going to pop on some mascara, a little bit of false lash going on, and then we're going to go ahead and finish off the lips. And then we'll go ahead and wrap out with some tips and tricks and my thoughts on using this eyeshadow collection in the Temptu Air and AirPod Pro. So yeah, let me go ahead and get that done real quick and I will be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and finished off the rest of the look, applied the finishing touches. Everything will be in the description box below, all the things that I used. But yeah, this is the finished look. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. Cool tone, sultry, smoky. I mean, it's beautiful. This is definitely a look that I will be rocking more and more. So I am going to be getting a lot of use out of this collection, let me tell you that, okay? So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about some details, maybe some tips and tricks and my thoughts on using this collection with the Temptu Air and AirPod Pro. Alright, so as you saw in the process of applying graphite to the lid with the Temptu Air and AirPod Pro, you saw that the spray was a little bit pixelated. The range was very wide, even though I was nice, close, and controlled with it. And that's what I mean about the use of eyeshadow in the Temptu Air and AirPod Pro, as opposed to the use of eyeshadow in the standard airbrush. So for smoky looks, I feel like using the AirPod Pro or even the Shadow AirPods, you're going to get a nice end result. There will be some shades that might give you trouble, like for example, out of this collection there are 6 total shades, and the only shade that gave me trouble was Graphite here. And you know that from the swatch video that Graphite is a shade that you're going to have to take your time and build up and be patient with. But that being said, I wanted to go ahead and show you what kind of spray you might get, because I'm not sure what your equipment is like, but what kind of spray you might get if you are using Graphite in the Temptu Air and AirPod Pro. So as you saw when we were going through the process, there were pixels that were densely packed kind of everywhere. It didn't look as smooth and fine, but after we added that second layer, we got a little bit more of a smoother texture. And then now layering everything up and the final end result, I'm going to go ahead and give you a close-up. You can see that it's a lot smoother, a lot well blended, and all of that. So can you work with these eyeshadow shades in the Temptu Air and AirPod Pro and still get a beautiful end result? Absolutely. Do I recommend it? It's touch and go. If the AirPod Pro and the Temptu Air is the only tool that you have from Temptu, you can definitely get away with using these shadows in the Temptu Air and AirPod Pro and still get a beautiful end result. You just have to be a little bit patient with certain shades like Graphite. So that being said, any tips or tricks that I can offer you today would be 1, keeping your distance with the AirPod Pro, especially with shadow. As you saw during the demo portion of this video, you saw me applying it at a certain distance. You definitely want to make sure you're keeping your distance. Don't be too far away, because like I said, the Temptu Air and the AirPods along with the AirPod Pro have a very wide spray pattern. So you don't want to be too far away, otherwise you run the risk of getting product in areas where you don't intended to get it, which is what I mean about the precision thing. But you can definitely control that by keeping your distance. Another thing is taking care of your lever control here. You definitely want to have light spurts on the lever like this. I've said this many times with many systems. Light spurts on the lever is definitely going to help you out. Whether you're seasoned or you're a beginner, you want to have light spurts on the lever. I don't recommend pulling back on the lever and going in like a shh. That's a little bit more advanced. That's for people, I feel like, who have a little bit more control. So I definitely don't recommend doing that unless you are completely 100% comfortable doing that. You want to go ahead and have light spurts on the lever. That'll give you the easiest application. And then another thing, if you do see large dense pixels and they are scattered in places where you don't want to, clean Cleaning those up is very, very easy. As you saw, you just go ahead and take a clean Q-tip and just kind of dust away those leftover pixels. Trust me, they come off super easy. You don't have to, it's not like this crazy process that is like so annoying or anything like that. It's super quick, super easy. You can go ahead and touch it up just like I did to ensure that you have a beautiful end result. So that is about it for this video. I hope you found this video helpful. I know this one was a little bit more chill, but you know, sometimes we just need things to be chill. I'm not trying to force any content on my channel anymore. I want things to flow nicely. I want them to be calm and smooth for myself as well, and I don't want to waste your time or my time. So that being said, thank you so much again for watching. If you found this video helpful and informative, please give it a big thumbs up. It helps me out a ton. Sharing this video also helps me out, so if you have the platform for it, please go ahead and share this video. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, make sure you are subscribed to my channel, and if you are subscribed, or if you're choosing to subscribe today, which thank you very much, don't forget to hit that little bell icon right next to the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. That way you get more videos from me popping up in your feed. Alright loves, thank you so much again for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!